The first night in the new house felt wrong. Not in an obvious way. No creaks, no draft. Just a silence too heavy, too deliberate. I tried to tell myself it was nerves. After all, moving into a new place always feels strange. But this house, it breathed. I could almost hear it. We bought it cheap, too cheap. The kind of deal that makes you hesitate, but you sign anyway because greed whispers louder than caution. 3 bedrooms, large basement, backyard with an old oak tree. Perfect on paper. But there were stains in the walls, brownish, hidden under fresh paint, and the realtor avoided eye contact whenever I asked about the history of the house. She muttered something about foreclosure. Previous owners left suddenly. No more details. I should have pressed harder. The first few days passed without much incident. Unpacking, cleaning, trying to make it ours. But then, the house started speaking. It began with whispers. At night, soft murmurs behind the walls, like someone pressing their lips to the plaster, whispering secrets too faint to catch. At first, I thought it was pipes. Old houses groan. They shift. But these sounds had rhythm, cadence, like words. One night I pressed my ear against the bedroom wall. I swear, I heard my name. Daniel. I jerked back so hard I nearly fell. My wife was asleep. The kids, snoring down the hall. Who the hell was inside our walls? I tried to laugh it off. Stress, imagination. But things escalated. The stains returned. No matter how many coats of paint I used, the brown marks bled back through, dripping, oozing, like the walls were pushing something out. One night I touched one, sticky, warm. I told myself it was rust or old water damage, but the smell, metallic, like blood. Then came the voices, clearer now, every night. Whispering, chanting, sometimes laughter, sometimes crying. I thought about tearing the walls open, checking for mold or rats, but something in me resisted. Like the house wanted me to break it open, to see what was inside. My son was the first to mention it. He was 6. He walked into the kitchen one morning, pale, clutching his stuffed bear. "Daddy, the man in the wall said he's cold." I froze. "What man?" He pointed to the corner, the one where the stains were darkest. "He's stuck. He's sad." My wife brushed it off. Kids imagine things, but I couldn't shake it. That night, I dreamed of hands, dozens of them, pale and broken, pushing from behind the walls, fingers bending, snapping, trying to claw their way out. When I woke up, my fingernails were bloody, as if I had been scratching in my sleep. I tried to research the house, library records, old newspapers, but it was like the house didn't exist before 10 years ago. No history, no trail, just nothing. The realtor stopped answering my calls. Things spiraled. My daughter began sleepwalking, always toward the basement door, her tiny hands reaching for the knob, whispering under her breath. I had to start locking it at night. One evening I found her standing at the foot of the basement stairs, eyes closed, murmuring. I leaned closer, my heart pounding. She was repeating a name, over and over, a name none of us knew. The house was feeding on us. I could feel it. We weren't a family anymore. We were tenants. By the second month, I couldn't tell the difference between dreams and reality. I'd see shadows standing in doorways, faces pressing against the glass, hands reaching from the walls. My wife begged me to move, but I couldn't. It was like the house had rooted inside me. Every time I thought about leaving, I felt sick, like it wouldn't let me go. The final night came with a storm. Lightning lit up the sky, rain battered the roof. The whole house trembled. I woke to the sound of screaming. Not outside, not in the distance, inside the walls. The kids were crying. My wife was shouting my name, and then the walls cracked open. It started in the living room, a split across the plaster, like something underneath was pushing through. The stains spread, dark, wet. Hands began tearing their way out, fleshless, rotting, grasping at the air. My daughter screamed. The basement door slammed open on its own, and from the darkness below came the sound of footsteps, heavy, slow, climbing. We huddled together, but the house was alive. The floor buckled, the ceiling groaned. The voices screamed in unison. The storm outside was nothing compared to the storm inside. I ran for the front door. It wouldn't open. I pulled, kicked, slammed my shoulder against it. Nothing. The walls were closing in, literally, shrinking, pressing us together. My son cried into my chest. My wife clutched our daughter. And then, the footsteps stopped, right behind us. I turned and saw him, a man, or what was left of one. Skin gray, eyes hollow, mouth sewn shut with black thread. He raised a trembling hand, pointed to the walls, and whispered. Not with his mouth, but with them. The walls spoke for him. Join us. I don't remember what happened after. I woke up in a hospital bed. Neighbors said they heard screaming. They found me outside on the lawn, unconscious. My wife and kids, gone. The police searched the house. They found no sign of them, no footprints, no fingerprints, just the stains, and the walls, freshly painted again. I drive by sometimes. Someone else lives there now, happy family, kids playing in the yard. But I know the truth. The house is hungry, and it never lets go. Because sometimes, late at night, when the wind is right, I swear I can still hear my daughter's voice calling from inside the walls, "Daddy."
We weren't supposed to use the room upstairs. That was the first rule. The realtor repeated it more than once. The lock stays on. Don't open it. The previous owner requested it remain that way. I laughed. It sounded ridiculous. But the key wasn't included with the house. And curiosity, well, it started eating at me the moment we signed the papers. A room, sealed shut, waiting. The rest of the house was beautiful. High ceilings, old hardwood floors. A staircase with a banister carved like vines. It had character, charm. It smelled faintly of cedar and dust. My wife fell in love instantly. The kids ran from room to room, choosing which would be theirs. But me? I couldn't stop staring at that door. It sat at the end of the upstairs hallway, tall, narrow, painted over in dull gray, a rusted padlock hanging from the latch. Every time I passed it, I felt something, a pull, like the door was leaning toward me, listening. And the first nights were fine, quiet, uneventful. But soon, I started hearing things from behind the locked door, scratches, soft at first, like a mouse or a bird trapped inside, but then louder, heavier. Sometimes knocks, 3 knocks, slow, deliberate. I told my wife. She brushed it off. Old houses make noise. But this wasn't the house. This was inside the room. One night I pressed my ear against the door, cold wood against my skin. I waited. Silence. Then, a whisper. Too faint to make out. But the tone, it was pleading. I staggered back, my chest tight. And for the first time, I felt real fear. Days passed. I tried to ignore it, but my son began asking questions. "Daddy, why does the door upstairs talk at night?" My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" He looked at me, eyes wide. "It says my name." That night, I dreamed of the door. It was open, just a crack, and from the darkness inside, a pale hand reached out. When I woke, the padlock was on the floor, open. My wife swore she hadn't touched it. The kids couldn't have, but there it was. The lock, undone. I told myself I wouldn't look, that I'd leave it shut, but I couldn't. The curiosity was too strong. The silence was too heavy. I gripped the doorknob. It turned easily. The door creaked open. The room was empty, completely bare. Dust swirling in the beam of my flashlight. The walls were cracked, the floor warped, and in the center, a single chair, old, wooden, facing the window. That was it. But the air was wrong. It was colder, heavier, like stepping underwater. I tried to breathe, but each inhale burned. And then, I saw them. Fingernail marks. On the inside of the door, dozens, no, hundreds. Scratches etched deep into the wood, as if someone had clawed, desperate to get out. I slammed the door shut, locked it again, told myself it was fine, just an old room, nothing more. But I was wrong. That night, everything changed. The whispers became voices, clear, loud. They filled the hallway, calling names, begging. The kids cried in their beds. My wife shouted at me, "You should have left it shut." I tried to argue, but deep down, I knew she was right. The room wasn't empty. It was waiting. The second week, the dreams worsened. I saw the chair rocking on its own. A figure, gaunt, skeletal, sitting with its back to me. It never turned, never spoke, just rocked, back and forth, back and forth. Each night, it was closer, closer to the door. One evening, as I tucked my daughter into bed, she whispered, "The man in the chair says he's almost out." I froze. My blood ran cold. She smiled, like it was normal. I didn't sleep that night. The house grew darker, not in light, but in feeling. Every shadow stretched too long. Every sound lingered. The air, always heavy. I caught my son standing outside the locked room one morning, his hands pressed flat against the wood, his lips moving, whispering. I yanked him back. He screamed, said I'd interrupted, that the voice was teaching him something. "What voice?" I shouted. He just smiled and walked away. I begged my wife to leave, but the house had its hooks in us. She refused, said we couldn't afford to move again, said I was scaring the kids. But I wasn't, not compared to what was really happening, because the night after, the door opened, on its own. I heard it from my bed, a long, slow creak. I ran upstairs. The door stood wide open, the chair empty. The room smelled of rot, of damp earth and rusted iron. I stepped inside, shaking, flashlight trembling in my hand. The floorboards groaned. Something moved in the corner, a shadow, shifting. And then, the door slammed shut behind me. Darkness swallowed me. The air pressed tight against my chest. I couldn't breathe. I spun. The doorknob wouldn't turn. The lock clicked. From the outside, someone, or something, had sealed me in. And then, the whisper, right in my ear. "You opened it." I don't remember what happened after. I woke in my bed drenched in sweat. The door upstairs, locked again. The padlock in place. My wife swore I'd never left the bedroom, but my fingernails were broken, splintered, as if I'd clawed at wood all night. Now, weeks later, the room is silent again. The kids don't hear the voices anymore. The chair doesn't rock in my dreams, but I can't stop thinking about it. The scratches on the inside of the door, the voice in the dark, and the way my son sometimes sits in the hallway, rocking back and forth, as if he's sitting in a chair that isn't there. The locked room was never empty. It was waiting. And now, so is he.